Hi, my name is Aimsley Battles. Thank you for joining us for this week of Joccupation. Today's episode, we're discussing purpose.
I'm Lavon Idolette, and I was a track and field athlete. The highest level I competed at was the Olympic Games 2012. I started playing sports at a very, very young age. Around 18 months, I started gymnastics, but I didn't start running track until high school. How my career ended was I just started being like very mediocre. Like I was trying hard, but like what I realized was I wasn't giving my all into the training anymore, which meant it was over. And so what I'm doing now is I run a more or less a parent company of a vertically integrated consortium of real estate companies. So we broker, we do the mortgages, consult, develop, construct, and we offer nonprofit services for our affordable housing. And I also teach professional athletes and advise professional athletes on how to purchase real estate that is revenue generating. My highest moment so far in my post-athletic career has been I saw the eyes of one of my client athletes light up as he received his first check from owning a piece of property and he's just like, whoa, I didn't even do anything. And I'm like, and then it clicked to him and he said, wow, I don't have to play anymore if I don't want to, which is like the pivotal moment for me where I'm like, this is what I've been trying to say the whole time. You have the power to do whatever you want to do. You can do it well. It just takes some planning and some thought. My advice that I would give to anybody who's transitioning out of sports is to give yourself grace, because we are very resilient people. We are very dedicated, we're diligent to anything that we know, and we have confidence that we know. So give yourself grace to figure it out. You're gonna figure it out because that's just how you're wired. But don't be so hard on yourself to think that you have to be perfect for it to work, because it doesn't. Person who goes into rabbit holes, which means if you spark a thought for me, I'm digging deeper and deeper and deeper until I find the answer. That's an athlete's mindset, though. You're going to say, hey, I have a hamstring issue. You're going to look up every article you can until you figure out how to make that hamstring stop hurting. If you do that to everything, you'll be successful at anything.
Okay, so we're here with Harold Lursis with Lursis Fitness. Thanks so much for being here again with us as we're talking about the purpose, right? The whys, the why did I play, right? These are the whys we have to answer in the rest of our lives with whatever profession we choose to follow. But in the same sense, as athletes, our why for working out and eating was competition. Now we've got to change our whys from competition to living. So what advice could you give to that athlete who's tired of not working out anymore and they know they've got to get back to fitness when they're just trying to figure out what their why is for working out? What are some questions they should be asking themselves?
One of the main questions you want to ask yourself is like going to the gym, like, why do you feel like it's important for you to take care of your body? And the best way for you to answer that, especially if you're a family man, is because you have a wife and you have kids and you have to take care of your family. If you don't have that like solid foundation of doing it for somebody else versus doing it for yourself, then it's more like you're not going to push yourself because you feel like you're an athlete. I've done everything for myself already. But now I have to change my attitude, change my mind to be like, my why now should be more focused on taking care of my family, taking care of my kids, or even go further than that, taking care more of being there for my grandkids. If you want grandkids, if your kids want kids. So the thing that pushes you more than anything is, when you were an athlete, to be better on the field, you have to be in the best shape of your life. But now, since you're a businessman, a family man, for you to be the best businessman, best husband, best family man, you still have to be in the best shape of your life. But the only difference is it's a different type of shape, though. When you was athlete, you was strong, you was fast, it was all that. But now it's all about being more lean. It's about just, taking care of more internally versus the physical part of it. That means your blood pressure has to be in check, your cholesterol has to be in check, your heart has to be pumping right. You constantly have to go to the doctor once a year just to check on yourself. And the thing is, athletes, we don't realize, every year we had to take a physical before we started playing. So now in life, you have to do the same thing. Every year, it's up to you to go to your doctor and take a physical to make sure that you're living a healthy life. That's why, especially, I'm not trying to deter from male and female, but especially men, we tend to not go to the doctor because we feel like we're in shape, we're fine. And it's not until we go through something and we find out, dang, I wish I'd been going to the doctor just to have a simple checkup so that whatever symptom that's came up, I'm able to take care of it or hit it before it's full blown. Because you don't know how many people I've run into to be like, man, I got high blood pressure, I got high cholesterol. If I was going to the doctor every year, at least once to take a physical, I could have got it. I could have taken care of that. I could have changed my eating habits. I could have done this, and this, and that. But we don't know because us as men don't like to take care of our body as much as women do. And that's the truth. I'm going to tell you right now, women, they're on it. They're on it. Men, us as men, we have to catch up. I mean, that's the truth of the matter. We have to catch up.
So when we're talking about working out and the whys and the purpose, why would somebody hire a personal trainer? What is something that somebody would need to ask themselves, do I need a personal trainer?
The biggest reason why, especially as an athlete, one thing you understand, when you was an athlete, a lot of athletes don't realize that. When you went to the gym, you never went to the gym for your own workout. The coach had the workout written out for you already, what you're going to do. You might be like, oh, I know what I'm doing, but really you don't, because everything was written out for you. Everything was step by step. A, B, go do this, go do this, go do that, go do this. So now that you has transitioned to a business person, a family person, you go to the gym, like, dang, what I'm gonna do now? So it's like everything was written out for me before. Now I got to think on myself to get it done, and people don't like to do that. But if somebody gives you like, hey, B, we're about to do this today. Okay, good. I can get it done, and I'm out the door. Instead of spending 12 hours in the gym trying to think of what you're gonna do. So it's the way I like to say a personal trainer is same as a mentor, but just for your body versus for a business. If you could see the correlation between those two, meaning you have a business mentor, he tells you what to do for your business. You have a personal trainer, he's telling you how to take care of your body with the minimum of time. What does the mentor do? It helps you collapse the time instead of wasting your time doing a lot of things you don't need to be doing. Same thing with a personal trainer. You come in the gym with a personal trainer, he keeps you accountable. We're doing this, this, and this. In an hour, you're done. You don't have to waste your time doing all the rest of this. And as a ex-athlete, you would appreciate that because you're going to be like, oh, I'm used to that. That still gives you the same mentality. When you're in the gym, your teammates are pushing you, the coach is pushing you. Now you have a personal trainer in your ear pushing you at the same time. And believe it or not, it still gives you the same competitiveness that you had when you was playing ball at the same time. And that's how I feel like it will help you out.
So again, we're joined with Brooke Malone. Thanks so much for being here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Battles.
So as we talk about purpose, we're talking about our whys. Why did I play? Why do I practice, right? Now we're starting to talk about our relationships, now that our careers are over. How do we start thinking about why are people in our lives?
Yeah, so there's a few ways to think about why people are in your life. One way is to have a servant attitude, which is how can I benefit them? What can I do? Who can I be to support them and what they're doing? And also think of it on the flip side of, what are they doing to support me and help me where I'm going? So when you think about, those who are surrounded you, we've all heard a few times, your network is your net worth. And we've also heard that you are a combination of the top 5 people you surround yourself with. And that is very true. So when we think about why people are in our lives, you have to assess other areas in your life that circle around purpose and make sure those folks align with what you're trying to accomplish, what you're trying to do, and ultimately who you want to be as a person.
So as we start to evaluate the relationships in our lives, depending on where you grow up, sports is interesting because it gives you access to a lot of people, other people naturally want to be around, but they actually want to be around you. So that the tables are kind of turned a little bit. What are some questions that a person could ask when they find themselves in that room? They're thinking of, this is what I'm interested in as a person. And this is somebody, so say it's, I don't know, say you're at an event and Elon Musk is there. And you're incredibly fascinated with solar cars, right? And electric cars and his entire field. Could you give us 3 icebreakers, 3 questions to get out of your own head, to go over there and open your mouth?
Absolutely. So something that always, gets the energy up is to find out what somebody is excited about. So, hey, Elon, what are you working on right now that has you just through the roof, that you're so excited about? Tell me about that experience. It's also important to keep in mind, this is just a general thing when you're having a conversation with someone, is to ask those open-ended questions. So how and what questions? So again, what are you excited about? And people love talking about themselves. So, if you see someone that, you are fascinated with, they will tell you some things that are going on that are just great for them. Another one is, how can I help? So again, being inquisitive is always a great way, but finding out how you can support someone. For one, people don't always get asked that question, so they may be like a little thrown off, like, what do you mean how you can help? Like, I don't even know you. Like, you may not even be in my sector. But again, because people love talking about themselves and the project they're working on, that gives you to open up about not what they're excited about, but what their problems are. So if they need help with something, it could be something that they have a challenge with. And if that's the case, and if you understand what those challenges are, you can put yourself in a place where you're uniquely positioned to be a resource to them. So first one is, hey, what are you excited about? Second one is, hey, how can I help? What are some of the things that you're having challenges with? Those things can go together. And the next one, if they are working on something that you are fascinated with, what are your recommendations? How do you recommend that I get started in this space? So you're asking for their feedback. You're getting them to open up to you and to tell you sound advice. And this gives you a key to follow up with them, because when you follow up with them, you can say, hey, Mr. Musk, thank you so much for your time. I really enjoyed connecting with you. I really took heed to what you said about what I can do to get started in this area. And this is what I've done to, take action on that. And people really appreciate and value that, because then they know that you were listening to them.
Okay, so what are some of the downfalls? What are some of what are some of the penalties, right? If a person doesn't expand their network, if they don't start on purpose finding those that are like-minded to them or with them?
Yeah, you get stuck. You get stuck. Greatness, and this as an athlete, right? If you have ever played sports, you know that greatness comes outside of your comfort zone. It comes when you are doing something that is extra, above, and beyond. It's the same thing with meeting people. It's the same thing with expanding your network. So to answer your question, if you get stuck with, the people, again, not to just say like socioeconomic neighborhoods, but if you get stuck with those just who are around you and they're not expanding their networks and they're not expanding their knowledge of what they want to do, you limit yourself and you limit the horizon to what you can be exposed to and opportunities that are available to you. You may be in love with your sport, whether it's soccer, tennis, football, basketball, badminton, whatever it is. But let's say you're interested in tech. If no one in your space is interested in tech, you better go to the next tech conference. You better go to the local association, local meetings, find out who the power players are, because if you don't, you'll never be exposed to that. So really, if you don't get out and expand your network, you're limiting yourself and you're keeping yourself small, when really your potential can expand beyond what you even seen for yourself, but you wouldn't know that because, not to say that like your circle isn't great, because you could have like a great, circle of human beings around you, but you wouldn't know if you didn't go and meet other people.
We have Ashley with us, who's going to give us practical steps of how to evaluate an organization's purpose. How does it align with you? And if they're making impact, how do you actually measure that impact? So Ashley, thank you so much for being with us again this week.
I'm excited.
So when we're talking about purpose, and we're talking about in the nonprofit space specifically, because nonprofits are set up that are purpose-driven versus profit-driven.
Absolutely.
What's some advice you could give to somebody who's interested in getting involved in their community? Mm-hmm. They know what the area is that they want to support, but now they have 10 different nonprofits to look at. Could you walk somebody through kind of how to sift through?
Absolutely. So when you think about the work of a nonprofit and the impact, as you mentioned, it's really diving deep into what you were aligning yourself with. So in doing the research and looking up these nonprofits and seeing their community impact, in looking at it on another level, which is more deeper, because now that you've actually identified, say, 5 nonprofits that you want to become connected with or you like their work, it's really understanding what the scope of their work has been and how it's impacted the community, because again, you don't want to be everything to everyone. So in diving deep to understand that they have actually identified 3 to 5 areas of scope and of impact of how they're wanting to change the community for better. What does that look like? Are they financially fiscal? Are they responsible? What does their team look like? And taking a deeper dive into understanding the organizational team, the organizational leadership team, executive board, you really have to hone in on those things, because again, it's something that you're becoming connected to, and are they seen in a good light in the community? Because although they are a community organization, are they community, which is a representation of everyone, and so when you look at the scope of work in that realm, it will start to make more sense to you of, there's just something about that organization. I want to reach out now that I've done my work, I've done my research on what the impact has been in the community, from their organization. I now have a better understanding.
So what I'm hearing is nonprofits, even though they want to do good, they still need to be vetted as if they're for-profit companies.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
nonprofits that don't treat their employees with respect or with appreciation, it's very difficult to understand how can that nonprofit actually help the community when they can't even keep their own house in order.
Absolutely, and that's really important. What I've seen actually in my career, 15 plus years in nonprofits, is I've seen that turnover. I've been one of those employees. This is an opportunity to be very transparent. I've been one of those employees. So when you are losing who you need and who values the grassroots work, in nonprofits, you are losing a huge piece of the organization. And so you want to be known as an organization who takes care of their own. And in taking care of their own, you're taking care of community, because it may be one thing to hear about the inside. What does the outside look like? Talk to those who are heavily involved in the community to hear their perspectives. Get the feedback, because they'll tell you and it will come out. And so you just have to be very cautious of that.
Right. Practical advice for athletes that have a level of celebrity, but you always have those, lack of better words, moochers. They either have something that they're just trying to put you out front. You're the shiny toy to be put out. You're the commodity that they want to leverage. Athletes like that. People like to be wanted.
Right.
So if you're an athlete that with social media, right? People know what your causes are, they know what your platforms are, and you're being approached by nonprofits that want to leverage your sizzle, they want to leverage your celebrity. What are some questions the athlete could ask of the nonprofit?
And I think this comes back to understanding your value. because I think that next season, once you retire or you no longer are in the playing capacity, is in understanding your value as you're approached. The question should be, what about me stood out to you? Tell me about how my journey has been, in the sense of you've done your homework on me. You want me to become connected. You want me to share the value of my platform. What is it about me that you love? Not like, love. That lets you know that they've done their homework. They see you as an opportunity to become connected to something great because you're great. So it's really understanding that value, the V word, it really stands out in this opportunity or this platform, to understand that they've connected to you, but have they done their homework on you? Because that's where you're going to feel the most value.
Right, and that gets back to purpose, the why.
Absolutely.
And when you ask the right questions, you can figure out if somebody wants you for something you have or for who you are. And I think, living in Vegas, breaking even is winning here.
Right.
And so it should be a give and a take. And that's what makes the economy run. I mean, that's just what makes human interactions run, is that. So in closing, right, we're talking about purpose. We're talking about getting out and really evaluating, kind of with fresh eyes, the opportunities and the causes that are there. What piece of advice would you give to somebody who's in the space of, I don't know. I know I want to give. I don't know where to start. I don't know.
Value in your gifts. If you understand your value, which, looking back over, say, your career, to say, this is what I was doing, this is how I know to become invested in my community. Now it's taking the step, as the infamous Dr. Martin Luther King would say, without even seeing the staircase. You have to understand that when you take that next step, you may not have all of the questions, but you have a seed that is to be sown in your community. And what does that look like? It's connecting with the like-minded. It's not just reaching out to say, oh, I'm just going to put my hands or all my eggs in one basket. It's actually, no, it's becoming connected to greatness, because you've led a life that is inspiring to others. Now, what do I do from here? So really taking that step of faith, or that leap of faith, not even seeing all of the next say, parts of that journey, but it's in you. You're inspired. Now it's time to execute, to be able to give back to a community that you are a valuable piece of.
Right.
So.
Ashley, thank you so much for the advice and the insight to helping us align ourselves with purpose and really affect our community in a positive way.
My pleasure.
So we have Courtney with us again. Thank you so much. So as we've been talking about purpose, we've been talking about our whys for doing things, and how the why, our purpose for doing things, as athletes, my why was to win a game. That's how I'm able to overcome two-a-days, stress, pain, soreness, playing through injury. But when my playing career is over, part of my purpose leaves with that, and it creates a void. So the first question is, what is purpose? What does that even mean when people say having a purpose?
What a great question. In my experience and what I've seen with the athletes that I've worked with, purpose is a sense of overall achievement or overall connection with something bigger than yourself. So a lot of times I'll hear people say, well, my purpose is to win this game, or my purpose is to be a part of this team, or my purpose is to excel in some way, right, to achieve. I would argue that underneath a sense of purpose is the need for safety, right? And so I feel that my purpose in this life is to help other people. That's my purpose, right? And I do that by dealing with matters of the heart and the head, and dealing with relationships. But underneath that, by connecting to something larger than myself, it serves a sense of safety for me. I feel safe in myself, I feel safe in my place in this world, and I feel a part of something bigger than myself. I sense a lot of depression and anxiety with athletes that I work with who don't live beyond their own head, who don't live beyond their own game. And when they are a part of the team, they're physically there, but they're not a part of the team here. And I'm sure that you've played with guys like that before, right? Versus the personalities of the athletes that really plug in. There's that camaraderie and they're part of something bigger than themselves. And so I would say that purpose, what it means to have a sense of purpose is it means it's a meaning or a drive to be, feel, and connect with something even bigger than yourself, and to have a secure place in this world.
So when we're saying purpose, so you're saying your purpose is to help connect people, but you can connect people on a telephone, you can be an operator, connect people, you can be a psychologist. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is being able to extract our purpose for why we do something. That could help alleviate some of the transitional angst that you're going through. So I think about for myself, right? Playing football, team sport, but why did I like doing it? I liked it because I'm working with a bunch of people towards a common goal, but I can individually get better. I matter, but it doesn't, win or lose, doesn't rest on me, but I get to contribute towards that.
Yes.
So when I got finished playing, it took a while for me to deconstruct and understand that, and that's why I got into teaching. Because in teaching, you have a subject, which is part of the overall caseload a kid will have. I can get better as a teacher, but I'm working with the school to educate the community. So again, I was able to almost repurpose my purpose. Well, I didn't even repurpose it.
Continue to use it.
I just stayed aligned with my purpose, and I'm changing the output of what it looks like, but not the intent of what I'm doing. So what are some questions that somebody can ask themselves to really figure out purpose, figure out the why am I doing this? Not the money, not the, but like you said, pulling back the curtain. Why am I really doing this?
Absolutely. What a great question. I believe that and have seen that people essentially have or feel called to sort of one purpose. Now, where we kind of go wrong with that is acting out our purpose in one avenue. And when that avenue inevitably ends, it feels like I don't have a purpose anymore. Wrong, you still do. You can contribute and tie in and tap into that purpose in a litany of other ways. Just because you're off the field, just because you're off the court, doesn't mean your purpose is over. If your purpose is to be successful, if your purpose is to be an inspiration, if your purpose is to be a part of a team, that can never end. You have so many ways to continue to plug in to your purpose and your place in this world.
Where's some place people can go to learn more about purpose? Now, there is religion. There's organized religion. There's like meditation. There's I think they're called some type of beat. So you can put on earphones, and so you
EMDR.
you get one frequency in your left ear and a different one in your right, and your brain kind of
recalibrate.
Yeah. So with all this litany, right? Because we have so much information. Where are some places people can go to really find purpose, or even learn how to think about purpose?
Sure. I would actually redirect everybody inward. Figure out what lights you up. Figure out what you love more than anything in the whole world. I think so many folks, athletes especially, after they transition back into civilian life, they forget what brings them joy besides the game. They forget what brings them joy besides the 60,000 people screaming and cheering for them, right? And so I would advise, look inward. What lights you up? It could be something as simple as working with kids. It could be something as simple as helping an animal. It could be something as simple as watching your wife smile. Small little things can lead to really big ideas. In terms of a sense of purpose, I align purpose and joy. Purpose and joy for me are one and the same. You are here to do a specific thing. You are here to be a specific way. And the energy you bring to this community, the energy you bring to our world, taps in beautifully with all the other energy that is meant to be a part of this system. And like it or not, you're still a part of our system. And we're not going to let you go.
Right.
So how does your joy, how does your purpose tie in with ours? And how can we all work together to figure out how to best actualize your purpose and your joy?
Right, and that's what it sounds like. It's just getting deeper.
Yeah.
It's just stop playing on the surface and actually go inside.
And be honest with yourself. Yeah.
And that's where the emotions. Your emotions are not going to lie to you.
Correct. They are the only place that human emotion actually comes from is human thought. So human thought drives emotional reaction. Emotional reaction dictates behavior. Right? And so when we feel certain ways, if we feel scared, if we feel happy, if we feel nervous or angry, instead of leaning into the emotion to say, here's all my stories around why I feel this way and why I'm justified feeling this way, instead kind of take a beat, back up out of the moment. What am I thinking about that's triggering this emotional reaction? And maybe I need to reframe what I'm thinking about. And in terms of purpose, right? If I left a career where I have done one thing my whole life and I feel that my purpose is over in this world, that would make me feel very scared. But the thought that my purpose is over is what's triggering the fear. So let's back up and reframe. My purpose isn't over. That job is over. I still have the rest of my life to continue to live out my purpose.
So what would you say to people that when I don't enjoy my sport anymore, when the joy is not there, but in our heads we say, well, it's paying bills and it's serving a purpose. So the purpose of your job might not be the purpose of your life.
Correct. And not a lot of times, I think, does that line up for folks.
So when you're saying to be happy, that's kind of that, and I don't think there's an answer. I think everybody has their own answer to the question.
Deeply individual, yeah.
But it's how, if somebody doesn't feel that same spark, that same passion and enjoyment playing, they're actually keeping themselves in hell. Because it's comfortable, even though I don't like it, it's familiar. So what advice could you give to somebody, be it if they're in high school, college, pros, the Olympic, whatever it is, when they know that truth in them? What is something or advice, or how can they kind of take that feeling and do something with it?
Oh, great question. These are such great questions. For folks who have the opportunity or the ability to kind of lean back out of their sport, that's going to be scary. That's going to be very scary. Be brave. Do it anyway. So many times, fear of the unknown. What's going to happen to me if I quit playing? What's going to happen to me if I'm not part of this team anymore? I'll be invisible. No one will love me, et cetera, right? And so the fear of what may or may not happen will outweigh the misery of my current situation. And so people stay put and they stay trapped in these lives or these sports or in these uniforms that they hate. And so as soon as the fear decreases, the misery will increase and people are sparked to take action and change. Now, that's not always a luxury that every athlete has, right? You've got a contract, say you've signed and you've got several years left, but you hate it, you're miserable. That's when you need to back up and reframe the way you approach your sport. This sport doesn't have to bring me joy. This sport is my job. I'm going to go to work every day. I'm going to give 110%. And when I'm off the field, when I'm off the court, it's even more important that I tie into things that do bring me joy, that do bring me a sense of purpose, because at some point in time, that contract's going to be over. And we got to transition. And we got to keep living our purpose. Right?
Right. It's inevitable. It's 100%
It's inevitable.
Ubiquitous, inevitable event. We've spoken so much about purpose and the cornucopia, right, of colors and flavors and styles of it. So how can we kind of bring this down to a salient point, something that, someone who's not clinically trained, how could we really understand purpose?
I understand purpose as a way to use the gifts that were given to me in this lifetime. When I am plugged into what comes naturally to me in this lifetime, it brings me a lot of joy. When I live that joy, I feel a part of something bigger than myself. That sense of purpose drives me. It dictates my decisions. It helps reframe negative thoughts, and it builds relationship. So I would say purpose essentially is finding your joy and the way to plug that joy into your life.
Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Joccupation. Thank you so much, Courtney, for insight into purpose. Now, your weekly motivational speech.
The question that I really learned was, how good can I be? What does it really look like to compete at the highest levels, right? And so when you're playing in the SEC and when you're playing against guys that are going to be drafted in the first round of the NFL draft week in and week out, you get a chance to test yourself at the very, very highest level. And just to know that, for me as a walk-on, I came in with very low expectations. Nobody expected me to do anything. And for me to be able to get out on the field and compete against guys like that obviously had a little more physical gifts than I had, perhaps, was allowing, it allowed me to test myself and to really test my mettle. And what I can say, what I brought out of that experience was, you know what, I know that I've maximized every ounce of athletic ability and study and whatever I had. And that if I could do that here in an area where I was sort of an underdog, that I can take that level of competition and that ability to grind through problems, that ability to keep at it and persist, that grit, those are things that I can take anywhere. And so the level of competitiveness that you see there, when you get to see it that up close and know that you can sort of test yourself against those folks and still be a part of the team and still contribute and still make positive things happen, that was really the highlight for me and something that I've taken with me everywhere, because I know that I can compete against the very best now. It doesn't matter if it's in sports, athletics, academics, or in the business world. And you go, look, as long as I do my thing and maximize the gifts that I've got, I'm going to have some success at some point or another.
Thank you so much for joining us this week. Please join us next week when we'll be discussing clarity.